Hey, you know we're live.
Yeah, running after.
Are we live?
Yeah.
We're
We're
live,
live.
dude.
We're
Come on,
live.
man.
We're live.
You're gonna have to put the camera rig down.
Jerry Springer.
See, this is the great / horrible thing about going live.
Are you kidding? That was great.
Yeah. All right. So maybe we are live. All right. Jason Castle, BassBoatElectronics.com. Miles Sonar Burghoff. I think we went live. You started playing with the camera, dude. We got.
I know.
A
I
sweet
wanted.
rig, but
I'm a sucker when it comes to like camera gear and camera setup. And you got one of the best little camera setups I've ever seen. He's got lighting. He's got great audio. All kinds of stuff going on there. But anyways, we are here to talk bass boat electronics,
That's right.
not electronics when it comes to camera gear.
It all goes one and together. Our online store, dude, it's a nightmare. I can't even keep it straight. But there's all technology going behind. But it is cool. We can access tons of people, live time, all the way across really the world. So
For
it's
sure.
pretty sweet.
For sure. And so we're going to be doing a kind of a Q&A. So if you guys have any electronics questions or just fishing questions in general, we'll take any questions you got. We're going to answer them to the best of our abilities. But one thing we're also doing today is we're kind of tuning up the rig here, the BBE rig. We've got the James River coming up on the Pro Circuit. I leave on Wednesday for that. We've actually got a high school event. It's not a high school tournament, it's a high school fishing camp up at the MLF headquarters in Kentucky. And then after that, we're going to go to the James River, Richmond, Virginia, and then Lake Champlain after that. So we're rounding out the season. So this is kind of the mid-season checkup.
Yeah, well, she's done well. You've taken care of her. I'm kind of surprised.
She's in really good shape.
I thought a unit would be hanging on.
Don't you dare say that I'm rough on my equipment. I am very tender and ginger with my equipment.
I mean, when you're fishing for a living, dude, it's just hard, you know?
Hey, it is a work boat, but this boat right here, this is my 921 Elite Phoenix. This has been the best boat, and she is still in like pristine condition. We really have not put this one through the ringer this year at all. So yeah, it's been a really good boat. We got the ultimate electronic system.
Yeah.
So
overall, everything's working well. I know we had to tweak a couple of things, but
everything's good. The biggest addition that we did is you sent me the LVS 34 transducer. Had to put it on myself.
I know, dude.
I didn't have you there,
I got it to
but
you
it was
as fast
super.
as I could,
super easy. But that has been a huge improvement. Like, because I love obviously using my Panoptix Live Scope, and the 32 was a great transducer. Still is a great transducer, but one of the struggles I had with the 32 versus the 34 was like tracking my baits way out there. So like
distance.
when you're casting out to 100 feet, you can't see your bait until it gets in that like 60-foot range. With the 34, it's like you can see it splash. All of a sudden you see this like flash on the surface, and then you can watch it go down at 100 feet and see the fish out there. Target separation's way better. Like on the ledges recently, when the fish are tucked down to the bottom, before it was like kind of fuzzy and you couldn't really distinguish the fish. Now you see those little bumps, those little humps down there that are the fish. So that transducer is legit.
well, I'm not gonna lie. Miles called me. Or I told him, I said, hey, I've got you a 34. He's like, all right, well, do I need it? And I was like, I don't know. It's a little bit better. It's a little bit, you know, you're gonna get one. Tell me how it is.
Yeah.
I learned from your comparison video because I put it on my boat, went out, and I turned it on. I was like, yeah, it's live scope, you know? And I was fishing. I didn't really play around with it much. But then you did an awesome job on that comparison video between the difference. And interference-wise, I mean, it was a lot cleaner.
Way clearer, just overall the clarity of the image. I mean, you don't have nearly as many flashes or anything like that. I don't know what the technical term is, but it looks like it's kind of flashing. You don't have what somebody described as that phantom tree.
Yeah.
I don't know if ghost tree, and you don't have that anymore, and it's just overall a way cleaner image, way easier to see what's going on down there. And just the simple fact I can throw out a drop shot rig at 100 feet and watch it go down and know exactly where it's landing.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Legit.
I mean, that was cool to see how big of an improvement it really was on you going back and forth. But
I want to show you guys something real quick, because this when I walked in this door, because the big struggle people have been having is getting 360 units. But look at this. You got one pallet, 2 pallets, 3 pallets full of Mega 360 imaging units here. So you're fully stocked in that, and you've got some bundles for the LVS 34.
Correct. Yeah. So we just got 2 in today, so they're actually not on our website yet, but they will be probably around 3 o'clock today. And we got 2 1222 Live Scope Plus LVS 34 bundles that'll be on our website. So those are trickling in. You know, obviously we've had orders in place for a long time. That's kind of one of our advantages, is we don't pre-sell anything. You know, once we get it, then we sell it type deal, just because it's easy to keep track of, and then obviously for the customer, it's a good experience for them. They're not waiting or wondering when the product's going to come, because we don't know either. You know, we're in the same situation. But yeah, now we've got a bunch of 360s here. We've actually got a couple more coming. All that's going out, so that's all orders going out the door.
So 2 pallets.
Yeah, 2 pallets for now. We may have another pallet showing, but who knows? Yeah. The fact is, I mean, really though, it's crazy. Like, these will be gone. Like, I would say in 2 weeks we'll sell through all these.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the hottest items.
You can't. I hear everybody say that they can't get their hands on a 360 unit. Yeah. So.
I mean, they're starting to ship out. Hummingbird's doing a really good job, and the 34 as well. They're trickling in, so we just get those 2 and 4 at a time. Yeah. But it's routine. You know, these, it's like all at once. You know, we get a ton at once, and then there will be none shipped, so it's kind of just weathering the storm. But
so one question I have before we get to the Q&A, so if you guys have any questions, of course, you know, drop a comment. I don't know exactly how it's presented on there.
Yeah, we'll pull it up on our feed here in a little bit and answer it. But
yeah, ask any questions you want. We're going to be here as long as we need to answer all the questions. But one question I had for you is, because I was curious out there, you have the new Apex series from Humminbird on display. What's the big deal about the Apex?
So the Apex is now, so you've got the Helix series, you've got the Solix series, and now Apex. The Apex builds on the Solix series. So the Solix, the Apex operates just like the Solix. So all your keys and menus are going to be very, very familiar. True 1080 screen resolution, so the best screen resolution you can get on a marine display right now. It's got dual networking ports, which is probably its biggest selling factor. You can run Mega Live directly into it and then out to your other unit. You don't have to have that.
You don't have to have that
network hub, so that's a big deal. It does have dual channel sonar, so you could run an in-hole transducer and a normal one and switch back and forth on your 2D. So it does have dual channel 2D sonar. And then obviously your screen format, it's more of a 16:9 format. It's going to be a widescreen deal, which for all your live forward looking sonars, that's the format you want. You're getting more and more away from the square format screen resolution and going wider, so you can see that long length.
That's one thing I noticed about it. What sizes do the screens come in?
They start at 13 inches.
Ooh.
Yeah, 13, 16, and a 19.
Oh my gosh.
So,
was that what I saw in that catfish boat?
The catfish king, man.
I could not believe
that
it.
Unit,
he had a catfish guy come in, and it's actually in the back over there. And I looked at I was like, what kind of electronics have he's got? I look at that thing and I'm like, golly, it is massive. It's huge.
Yeah, that's a 19. It's insane. It takes a specific boat to be able to fit that unit.
Yeah.
But now, you know, a lot of people running duals, triples. You know, Humminbird people are just running one massive unit. And a 13-inch unit, I was like, oh, that's small. Well, there's nothing small about 13. It's small in the Apex series, the smallest one, but I mean that unit's pretty sweet. But
do you think I could fit a 13-incher on? I feel like that would be pretty wide.
We're gonna
have probably
to
do it,
and you're gonna have to get a seat so you can just like raise.
I know, right?
We'll have to do some sort of fold down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, Miles. You're pretty.
I'm pretty much set. You know, just to kind of backtrack on my three brand system, we've got 5 different units. We've got 2 Solix units, 2 Lowrance 12 lives, and a Garmin. What's the number?
You've got a 1243 XSV.
1243 XSV. I get the nomenclature all mixed up with Garmin. I don't have enough space in this brain for
indefinite.
For all that
got
stuff.
Tons of different models.
That's why I have you. But that system right there, we've tried to tweak it and like change it and like tried to get more out of it and try different units and stuff like that. But that is like literally the best system that we could possibly come up with.
Let's go take a look at it.
All right, let's go.
Come on, Mike. We got Mike running the camera, so he's behind the scenes, but he's doing a good job. Don't trip over anything.
We got any questions? Not yet?
I got a question. What's your favorite color?
Ooh, blue.
Blue?
Blue. Wait, green. Wait, you're not a Monty Python fan, are you?
No.
Oh, come on, man.
All right, Mike, get a shot of this front. Let's see.
Who knows that reference? Monty Python. What is your favorite color?
Yeah, not me, unfortunately, but somebody knows.
Somebody does out there.
All right, so this is the 1243 Garmin XSV. What do you think of this? This is not a popular unit. It's one of their newest units.
It is really good because I actually love the screen on this. The biggest thing that I was held up on, like I used to like the keyed unit, the non-touch unit, better because I felt like the screen was crisper and brighter. This one has that same bright screen, but now it's touchscreen. You know, and it's very sleek. I mean, you take this thing off, and it's obviously made to be flush mounted into, you know, some big yacht dash or something like that, because it is just clean and beautiful looking unit. But it works great. It's fast. It makes the Panoptix Live Scope, which is pretty much all I use it for, just pop, and so I love it.
Yeah, I mean, this has been one of my favorite units as far as screen resolution. And another thing, you know, when you've got a lot of units up here and spacing between the trolling motor, having a nice compact unit really does help, where it just gives you more options as far as mounting goes.
Yeah.
Live 12, that's been a staple for a long time. I remember when we first went on the water, you had 2 carbon 12s.
Yep.
Can you think back in that day, dude, when I called you out, I'm like, oh, well, you didn't know me, I didn't know you.
No, that was...
on the water, there's like...
It's so serendipitous.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Look at us now.
Solix 12, Gen 3. So obviously 360
wet.
on that. Navionics mapping all the way around.
Yeah. So these two are pretty specialized to just certain sonar technology. So we have the Panoptix Live Scope, plus now, because we got the new LVS 34 transducer on there. And then the Humminbird is strictly 360. And I end up using it in the lower frequency range for the 360, just because I get a little bit of interference, you know, with the motor. But yeah, so just use it with 360, and then have the Panoptix Live Scope. But the Lowrance is really the core of my system. Like the Lowrance, I'd be lost without, because it's what I use for all my waypoint management. I actually, on the console, use it for all my side imaging, my structure scan, and down scan, because I end up liking it better. You know, I just am used to the Lowrance, you know, structure scan and down scan. So that's what I use it for. But the waypoint management, we've talked about this since the very beginning. Waypoint management and the track management with the Lowrance is just by far my favorite. So I love having those two linked up. And then we've also got another Humminbird at the dash, which is more so just kind of a backup, like a redundancy deal. I always like having, you know, 2 separate systems that you can pull from. If one for some reason starts having a little bit of glitches or some issues, you at least have another one to pull off of. So we've actually got a you know, the transducer for side imaging and all that with the Humminbird mega imaging, that we've got hooked up, but I generally don't use it. I just use the Humminbird for mostly mapping.
All right, so how many questions do you get of how do I mount my 360 on my Tour
All the
Pro?
time, and I'm like, well, you have to have a guy with a machine shop.
Well, Transducer Shield and Saver did come out with a mount. So they've got one for the Tour Pro. We did machine yours to match that same diameter.
We've been running this one for 3 years now.
Yeah, and it's, hell, I still don't know how in the world you haven't broke this bad boy, but.
Well, I did have to epoxy it.
Yeah?
I did have to put a little bit of epoxy on there because the threads kind of, you know.
This one's held up great, man.
Yeah.
You've done a good job. So I was telling you real quick, I'll add this little tidbit about the low profile bolt. So obviously with the 34, you can actually run a bolt. If you're not going to change the orientation, so if you're going to run it in forward only, you can actually do that bolt in there and it'll be more permanent. You don't have the diameter of this knob sticking up, which is, you know, it's not that big of a deal. But for me personally, and I can pretty much safe for you as well. Live view forward, that's all I run. I mean, especially if you have 360, it's all forward mode. I mean,
well, even if I'm like fishing vertically, I still see a pretty good slice of the water column with it in forward mode, because you see about, depending on how deep you are, you see quite a bit behind you as well. So I've never really put it in down mode, but I'm sure that there's some, I'm thinking about it for maybe even Champlain, honestly.
The only thing I found in down mode is still as fish are moving and bait's moving, I feel like I can't follow them or get back on top of them.
Yeah, it's harder. Yeah.
So, I mean, I still rely on that forward mode, but
you have to get used to that view for sure.
I'm no pro, I'm an amateur, so.
Well, you're a professional electronics guru is what you are.
So yeah, man, everything, dude, it looks incredible, man. I mean, you've taken great care of the boat. Everything's held up. Minor tweaks here and there, and she's golden. This
mount right here, the one thing I'm really happy with this year is, you know, obviously we're running a Phoenix again this year, and I love the mounting system here. This is way more stout than what we had in previous years on the other boats. You know, I love how they've got this all here, and we've got the Bass Boat Technologies triple mount, and this one's held up really good.
Yeah, Van's done a great job on the triple mount, and the nice thing on this and all your new models, when you can go from this metal directly to fiberglass, and then obviously we've got these threaded in, you know, that's where you get your rigidity. The hard time we see is, you know, mounting double and triple units on all these shrouds, you know, the removable shroud. That's kind of the hard part, just to hold that overall weight. But the metal to solid fiberglass is rock solid. Yeah.
And I've really loved the last 2 years. You know, obviously Motor Guide came out with the Tour Pro 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's been about 3 years
now. And now it is a really solid motor. I haven't had any issues out of it for quite a while. It's a great motor, so I've really enjoyed driving this one. This one actually I just put on the other day, and it's working perfect. I always worry about putting new things on when something else doesn't you know, have any issues with it, but it works perfectly. It's definitely ready for the James.
Sweet.
But yeah.
Well, that's all the questions I have. I wonder, Tori, we got any questions?
Not really any questions, but when wants to see a good video on the settings for the LPS 34.
The difference?
The settings.
Oh, the settings?
Let's do it right now.
Yeah, we can go over some settings. You fire away with yours, because I'll probably have a couple different ones, but
we can't even do it without it.
Yeah, you can.
You can? It'll come up?
Yeah, sure. Mike, roll over here so we can see the screen real quick.
Actually, oddly enough, and who was it that asked? Tim? Okay. So Tim, it's a good question, because I actually just did a little video in the showroom on this. I keep it pretty simple when it comes to my live scope. I don't mess with the gain as much. I pretty much leave it on auto. So the one thing that, and I usually leave the depth range on auto unless I start getting into shallow water, and sometimes in shallow water it really starts to kind of, you know, you can see the screen kind of is trying to figure out what depth range to put it at, because you'll have like the depth be up here. You'll be in 5 foot of water and the range will be out to like 40 feet or something like that. So sometimes I will take it off of auto as far as depth range, but I always keep the gain on auto just because they've got it just dialed in. My forward range is the one that I think is the most important, and I keep that at 110. Especially with this new LVS 34, I can see my lures way far out there. At a full 100 feet, legitimately, I can see a fairly, you know, large size bait, or fairly, you know, medium sized bait. I can even see like a drop shot or something like that out to 100 feet pretty easily. And what I generally look for is a splash. I can actually see the splash out to 100 feet. I know exactly where it is, and I can watch it go down. So the 34 transducer has been a big upgrade, but keeping it at 110 feet, the reason I like 110 is because I can still, it seems to be the outer range of where I can still see my bait, I can still see fish, and I can see all kinds of cover, like if I'm coming up into a brush pile. But I don't want to bring it in any, obviously if you reduced the range, you would be able to see things even better. You know, you'd have better target separation, you have more definition and all that. But I want to creep up on these fish. I want to see what I'm going to cast at before I get too close to it. And I think anywhere, you know, any closer than 50 feet, and you're way too close. So I want to see them when they're way out in the 100 feet, be able to cast to them before I get too close. So that's what I set it at, 110. That seems to be a good distance.
The only thing I do, like recommendations I have, is under your options. You know, you've got your sonar setup here. So I start off with noise rejection from the factories on medium. I always bump TVG up to medium as well. And then that enables me to run the gain a little bit higher, because I like a real raw image. Some people want it as clean and clear as possible. So noise rejection, TVG, and then I'll start dialing it down, both of them. If you can get low and low and that works for your needs, that's pretty much perfect. Those are the two.
Mine was perfect, I'm gonna.
Yeah. Since you like it on off, and obviously 32, 34, there are some minor differences. But the other big difference that they added is gonna be your, should be under, actually maybe under appearance. Yeah, your color limit and color gain. You played with those yet?
I have not played with them.
So
I'm pretty simple.
Noise rejection, TVG. Every boat's different, every setup. So I recommend, I start on medium, and then that enables you to run your gain higher. The only thing the gain high gives you, you're gonna get a little bit more clutter, but typically you can see things better at distance. Now with the 34 and its resolution, it kind of takes that need out of it. But so essentially on your color limit, you've got a 0 to 100%. And so a lot of people are running at about 50. And then I leave the color gain on default. But the color limit, what it does, it basically gives you the ability to get the noise out of the image and clean it up. But I from what I've seen, is it almost gives you an overexposed image. So a lot of my crappie guys like the color limit because they want to see this tiny little jig really far out. So they're kind of overexposing it. And that color limit fades out that background noise. Because typically when you overexpose, you get all that noise.
Right.
And that color limit fades it back out. But, so I actually leave mine off. I mean,
Is that what I had it set at?
Yeah, you didn't have any of that on. And you had TVG off and medium. And I'm just like you. I mean, I typically do run TVG on low or medium, but now with the 34, it's maybe be low just to clean up a little bit close range. But that's, in my opinion, one of the coolest things about live scope. Everybody asks about settings, and rightfully so, but it's almost unique. I mean, you've got a good base setup, and then based on situation, because I change it, you know.
Yeah,
if I'm shallow or deep, it's different
I do change
settings.
it, and if you get in a situation where you've got a lot of sediment floating around in the water, really dirty water, it's a completely different image. If it's crystal clear water, you've got nothing floating around out there, it's going to be clearer than if you're in the mud. You know, and so you might need to adjust it based on that. But honestly, when he sent me the LVS 34, I slapped it on there and just went with it with the settings that were on there. I updated the software, obviously, which I think the software update is different for this unit versus some of the more popular units.
Why do you run that blue palette?
I mean, I think it's just personal preference, but I think it has the best contrast in the sun, which is the biggest thing for me. So when I'm fishing in the sun, which is all 100% of the time pretty much, this is the deal for me. I can see things a whole lot better than having that black background or whatever other, you know, shade that you're using. But I've used a lot of different color palettes, but this one by far is the best in the sun.
Do you ever switch? Because this is perfect in my opinion for seeing your bait, seeing fish at distance, and when they're suspended in the water column. The only disadvantage I've seen in running this palette is if you're fishing brush. It's hard to get the target separation. Usually those softer palettes. But
ooh, softer palettes. I might have to try it. I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with you say personal preference, but what's really happening there is you get so trained to see an image with this that somebody may, you know, that uses a different palette may be able to see something, you know, better with that palette that you're not. But really, you're just trying to get used to something that works for you under a bunch of different conditions, and just learn how to read it. And that's kind of where I'm at with that. I mean, I'm totally open to try different palettes, but this is the one that I've found.
This is the fish catching palette.
This is the one that I like. I like it a lot, for sure.
Well, cool. We got any more questions? All right. Well, Miles, we'll wrap it up. Anything else you want to add to it? I mean.
No, man. You know, if you guys are looking for, I've said it time and time again, if you guys are looking for electronics for your boat, this is the best place to be. Jason is a wizard. His team is awesome here. They just kill it. They do a great job. They've got all the best, you know, stock.
Well, that's the thing. We've built this company up over many, many years, but the team's critical, dude. I mean,
I was here when it was just him 4 years ago, before I even fished the pro circuit. So I've been very fortunate to get to see your progress and vice versa.
Well, I may have laid the groundwork, but I can tell you, we got some really critical people behind the scenes
100%
that have magnified it. So, and our customers, dude, we have some incredible customers. I mean, you know, and we do have a simple approach on the electronics. You know, we want it to be simple, clean, and reliable. It's also why our website, we don't pre-sell stuff. We don't, you know, complicate it, make it harder than it really has to be.
Yeah, I never really thought about the whole pre-sale thing and like back ordering and all that, but it makes it so much nicer if it's there, it's going to ship to you right away, as opposed to, and you're not like giving up your money for something that could possibly will get to you one day, but you don't know when.
Yeah, I mean, nobody really knows. There's a lot of delays, and there's a lot of reasons for delays.
Right.
I mean, the list goes on and on. You know, but it is hard to buy something that someone doesn't have. I mean, there's just, you know, you can't sell something you don't have, fundamentally.
Yeah.
But, you know, on the other hand, if you gotta, some of these products you gotta get in line on. We take lists and stuff, we just don't pre-sell anything. So anybody looking for electronics, let us know. Live, up-to-date website, that's key, you know. If it says we have one, we have one. It says we have 100, we have 100.
So to close it out, I've got one loaded question. If somebody was coming to you, they wanted 2 units that they can link together, so one brand, what setup would you send them away with, or would you suggest?
One brand?
With just one brand.
See, I mean, that is a loaded question.
It is a really hard question to answer. And in fact, I'm going to be doing a YouTube video just on that topic. We're going to go through all 3 of these brands. We're going to be posting those videos pretty soon on Sonar Fishing, so check that out.
I've used them all. You know, right now the boat I'm running has Lowrance. The boat previous had Garmin. I ran all Humminbird. I've ran every trolling motor. So, but from what I found, to me, it's a tie. I mean, we sell the most Humminbird. I mean, that's our #1 sales unit. I'm a waypoint guy. I like to mark waypoints. I like to fish waypoints. That's just how I learn fishing.
Right.
So it's ingrained into me. And there's no better system for waypoint management than Lowrance.
Yeah.
But my system would be Garmin. And the reason being is reliability, live scope. They're the farthest down the path. And I'm a huge fan of their trolling motor. And so for a simple, clean setup, like, I mean, literally 112 at the console, 112, live scope, and the unit, I feel like I could do all the work I ever would need to do.
It's super easy. It's intuitive too. So, yeah.
I mean, the 360 deal. I mean, the guy that I fish with. I mean, that's dude.
This is why
it's
a bad question to ask, because you could go so many different routes, and that's why we're going to be doing those videos just after this. But
my fishing partner was mad at me when I had the 360 off the boat. I mean, that's his thing. So I mean, that's the thing, dude. That's why we sell them all. They're all great product. I mean,
they really are.
Now, Garmin, to answer your question,
that's why I have all 3 of them. We've tried going heavy on one brand, and it just didn't work. But anyway, sorry to throw that hard question at you.
Yeah, I'm sweating over here now.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
But, well, thank you guys for watching. And if you do have any questions post this live broadcast, of course, you can ask Jason and drop a comment on this video. I'm sure that he'll get back with you. Or you can go visit me on my social media, Instagram, Facebook. YouTube is something that I'm doing a lot of, and I do a lot of videos on electronics and stuff like that. So check it out, Sonar Fishing. That's a YouTube handle. So
visit our website, bassboatelectronics.com. See you guys.